Hey millennials, you've mentored, you've managed, you've explained what a VLOOKUP is more times than you can count. But let's be honest, when was the last time you took notes when the Gen Z intern was talking? You probably think you've got the workplace figured out, right? But Generation Z isn't just bringing oat milk lattes and a new lexicon to the office. They're bringing a fundamentally different operating system. And here's a reality check from Deloitte's 2024 global survey. A staggering 44% of Gen Z have actually rejected an employer because their personal ethics didn't align. That's not just a preference, it's a power move that's rewriting the rules. Many millennials are realizing their own software might need an update. Today, we're unpacking 6 surprising and vital lessons that millennials can and frankly should learn from their Gen Z colleagues. This isn't about feeling old, it's about getting wiser, more effective, and maybe even a little cooler. Ready for a little reverse mentorship? Hit that subscribe button on GENSHIFT and let's get started. One, Tech Adaptability. It's not about skill, it's about fearlessness. First up, let's talk about technology. The common narrative is simple. Gen Z are tech wizards and everyone else is just trying to keep up. But that's a lazy and inaccurate take. The real lesson here is more nuanced. Master the just try it mentality. Gen Z were practically born with a smartphone in hand. It's an extension of their consciousness. For them, a new app like Notion, a collaboration tool like Slack, or a viral trend on TikTok isn't a daunting new system to be formally studied. It's a digital playground to be explored. They build entire life wikis on Notion and coordinate complex projects on Slack with the casual fluency of ordering a coffee. But here's the fascinating twist in the data. A 2024 Work Monitor survey from Randstad revealed something that might surprise you while Gen Z is at the forefront of trying new AI tools. Millennials are often the most adept at actually using them effectively in their jobs. This isn't a contradiction, it's a massive opportunity. Gen Z possesses the courage to dive in head first, while millennials have the professional context and experience to swim laps once they're in the water. The difference is psychological, not technical. Millennials, as digital pioneers, had to consciously learn and adapt to each new wave of technology, from dial-up to broadband, from MySpace to Facebook. This process can sometimes create a more cautious, I need to read the manual first mindset. Gen Z, on the other hand, learned by doing. For them, trial and error isn't a risk, it's the default learning method. So what's the actionable advice next time your team discusses a new project management tool? Resist the urge to be the one asking for a week-long training seminar. Instead, channel your inner Gen Z and say, let's spin up a trial account and just play with it for an hour. Learn from their use of GIFs and memes in internal communications, not to be cringy, but to understand the power of faster, more emotionally resonant messaging in a digital-first world. This isn't about abandoning professionalism, it's about upgrading your communication toolkit. The result is better efficiency, a more connected team, and a personal skill set that evolves at the speed of culture, not at the speed of corporate training schedules. 2. Boundary setting, work to live as a burnout prevention strategy. Lesson number 2, draw hard lines. For many millennials, our careers were forged in the fires of hustle culture. We answered emails at 10 p.m., wore our exhaustion like a badge of honor, and secretly believed that the person who left the office last was the winner of some invisible soul-crushing competition. And what did we win? A health crisis. The American Psychological Association's 2023 Stress in America report shows that adults aged 35 to 44, that's prime millennial territory, saw the highest increase in mental health diagnoses and chronic illnesses since 2019. We hustled ourselves right into the doctor's office. Generation Z watched this entire phenomenon unfold, took meticulous notes, and collectively said, hard pass. Their philosophy is work to live, not the other way around, and they enforce it with the dedication of a nightclub bouncer. It's not just a feeling, It's in the data. A 2024 Gallup report reveals that since 2019, full-time employees under 35 have reduced their work week by nearly 2 hours, a much steeper decline than their older colleagues. This isn't quiet quitting in the lazy sense of the term. It's a calculated preemptive strike against the burnout that plagued the generation before them. They saw the high cost millennials paid for negotiating away their well-being, and they've decided the price is simply too high. Their well-being is non-negotiable because they treat their job as a contract, not a lifelong identity. Millennials, it's time to import this strategy. You don't have to quit your job to quit the hustle. Start small, learn to love the schedule send feature for any emails you write after 6 p.m. Mute your Slack and Teams notifications when you log off and actually mean it. Be the manager who champions a no meeting Wednesday to give everyone, including yourself, a full day for deep uninterrupted work. According to Mental Health America's 2024 report, workplaces that value productivity over micromanagement see healthier, more engaged, and ultimately more effective employees. By adopting Gen Z's boundaries, you're not working less. You're working smarter and preserving your most valuable asset, your long-term health and sanity. 3. Radical transparency, demanding values that walk the talk. Lesson 3. Demand proof, not promises. Remember when a company's values were just a laminated poster in the break room next to the microwave? Gen Z is the generation that walks over, takes the poster down, and asks for the receipts. They have grown up in an era of social media activism, greenwashing, and corporate scandals, making them highly attuned to authenticity and deeply skeptical of institutions. This skepticism manifests as a demand for radical transparency, and they enforce it with their careers. The 2024 Deloitte survey is a bombshell. Here, a stunning 44% of Gen Z have turned down an employer because their personal ethics or beliefs didn't align. Think about that. Nearly half of the emerging talent pool is willing to walk away from a paycheck if a company's actions don't match its words. This extends directly to compensation. They are the driving force behind the death of the vague salary commensurate with experience line. A 2025 Fortune report noted that 44% of Gen Z applicants will abandon an application entirely if the salary range isn't mentioned up front. This isn't entitlement. It's a demand for a fair and open market. They are also more likely than any other generation to share salary information with colleagues, actively creating the transparency they believe should already exist. They see opacity as a tool that perpetuates inequality, and they're systematically dismantling it. Millennial leaders and team members can learn volumes from this courage. Instead of silently accepting vague corporate statements on DEI or sustainability, start asking pointed, data-driven questions in town halls. Advocate for clear published salary bands for all roles, a move that is proven to combat gender and racial pay gaps and build profound institutional trust. Instead of being a passive employee, become an active stakeholder. When you champion this level of transparency, you're not just helping yourself. You're building a culture of psychological safety where fairness isn't a lofty goal, but a baseline expectation for everyone. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Which of these lessons hits closest to home for you? Drop a comment below with "I agree" on hash, and share one small change you're inspired to make. We genuinely want to hear your stories. 4. The portfolio career, ditching the ladder for the web. Lesson number 4 is a big one. It's about fundamentally rethinking the shape of a career. Build a portfolio, not just a resume. The millennial career path was often presented as a ladder, a steady linear climb to the top of a single organization. You put in your time, you get promoted, you repeat. Gen Z is looking at that ladder and asking, why climb when you can build a web? They are the pioneers of the portfolio career. And let's be clear, this is far more strategic than just having a side hustle for extra cash. Groundbreaking 2024 research from Upwork found that the largest cohort of Gen Z freelancers, a full 39%, identify as portfolio careerists. These are skilled professionals who deliberately manage a diverse portfolio of different types of work across various clients, industries, and projects. Their motivation isn't just money, it's a trifecta of modern values. While financial stability is important, 70% of these Gen Z freelancers say they do it for schedule flexibility, 64% for location independence, and 62% to pursue work they are genuinely passionate about. A 2024 report from Quicken adds another crucial layer. 44% of Gen Z side hustlers are explicitly doing it to build new skills for their future careers. The why is rooted in experience. The traditional promise of job security in exchange for loyalty was shattered for millennials during the 2008 financial crisis and for Gen Z during the mass layoffs of the pandemic. They inherently understand that the only true career security comes from a diversified set of skills, experiences, and income streams. A portfolio career is both a hedge against economic uncertainty and a powerful vehicle for continuous self-directed learning. Millennials can adopt this powerful mindset without quitting their day job. Start by viewing your career as a collection of skills, not just a job title. Volunteer for a cross-functional project at work that's completely outside your comfort zone. Start a small freelance project on the side, not for the money, but to master a new skill like content strategy or data visualization. This multi-skilling approach makes you more resilient, more innovative, and ultimately more valuable. You stop being just a senior analyst and become a data storyteller, project leader, and client relationship expert. Five, DEI as default, moving from initiative to instinct. Lesson number 5 requires a crucial mental shift. Treat diversity, equity, and inclusion as a default setting. For many companies run by older generations, DEI is an initiative. It's a committee, a mandatory training module, a feel-good section in the annual report. For Gen Z, DEI isn't an add-on. It's the expected operating system of a modern, functioning society. This perspective comes directly from their lived reality. Pew Research has consistently identified Gen Z as the most racially and ethnically diverse generation in U.S. history, with nearly half identifying as non-white. They are also far more likely than any previous generation to know someone who uses gender-neutral pronouns and to believe official forms should include non-binary gender options. This isn't a theoretical concept for them. It's their friend group, their family, their world. And they bring this reality to work. A Resume Genius survey found that 72% of young workers would consider leaving a job if their manager didn't actively support DEI, and 65% would leave if the company's leadership lacked racial diversity. It goes even deeper. 86% of Gen Z professionals don't just want to see DEI programs, they want to be actively involved in creating and running them. They see a lack of diversity not just as a social failing, but as a glaring business risk, a clear sign that a company is out of touch with its future customers and its own talent pool. The lesson for millennials is to evolve from viewing DEI as a program to manage to an environment to cultivate. It starts with small conscious actions that become instinct. Learn and correctly use people's pronouns in introductions and email signatures. When hiring, be the voice in the room that actively challenges potential unconscious bias. Champion the creation of employee resource groups, ERGs, not as social clubs, but as vital strategic partners that can provide invaluable market and cultural insights. By internalizing DEI as an instinct rather than a checklist, you help build a workplace where the best ideas can come from anyone creating a true meritocracy that is stronger, more innovative, and more profitable. 6. The mental health mandate from stigma to strategy. Our final lesson is perhaps the most profound. Make mental health a key performance indicator. Millennials were largely taught that stress is a private struggle to be powered through with caffeine and grit. You don't talk about burnout. You just work harder to overcome it. This approach has been a catastrophe for our generation's well-being. Gen Z is flipping the script entirely. They see mental health not as a personal failing to be hidden, but as a key performance indicator of a healthy organization. The data is staggering. The APA's Stress in America surveys from 2022 and 2023 consistently show young adults reporting the highest levels of stress and mental health challenges. A 2022 Deloitte report found that 46% of Gen Z feel anxious or stressed all or most of the time. But instead of hiding it, they are vocalizing it. A survey by Handshake found that almost 9 in 10 undergrads say mental health and well-being are very important at work. A stunning 92% of recent graduates want to be able to discuss mental wellness openly in the workplace. They aren't just asking for help, they are expecting employers to provide strategic support, from dedicated mental health days to easily accessible therapy benefits. Why the Shift Gen Z grew up in a culture where conversations about mental health, while still difficult, are far more normalized on social media and by public figures. They see a clear, undeniable link between their mental state and their productivity. To them, an employer ignoring widespread burnout is like a factory manager ignoring broken machinery. It's not just bad for people, it's bad for business. Millennial managers and peers, this is your call to lead with a new kind of strength vulnerability. Start by openly taking a mental health day and explicitly encouraging your team to do the same. Normalize conversations about workload and stress in your one-on-ones, not as complaint sessions, but as strategic check-ins on team capacity. Advocate for better mental health benefits, framing it to senior leadership as a critical retention and productivity strategy, not just an expense. As the U.S. Surgeon General's framework on workplace well-being states, psychological safety is a non-negotiable prerequisite for high performance. By championing mental health, you're not being soft, you're being a strategic, effective 21st century leader. Conclusion. So there you have it, 6 powerful upgrades to the Millennial Workplace Playbook courtesy of Generation Z. From embracing tech fearlessly and drawing hard boundaries to demanding radical transparency and building portfolio careers. From making DEI an instinct to mandating mental health as a core business strategy. What we're witnessing is the end of the top-down one-way street of mentorship. The future of work isn't about one generation teaching another. It's about creating a culture of continuous, multi-directional learning where the best idea wins no matter whose brain it came from. This isn't a threat to millennial leadership. It's the greatest tool you have to stay relevant, agile, and build workplaces that don't just succeed but truly thrive for everyone. So millennials, which lesson are you taking to your next team meeting? Comment, I agree on hash. If one of these resonated with you. And Gen Z, what's the one thing you wish your millennial colleagues understood most? This is a two-way conversation, so let's get it started. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on workplace culture, make sure you subscribe to GENSHIFT. The future of work is happening now, and we're here to help you navigate it.